6:30 a.m. Good morning and welcome to News Dawn on 92.7 KUFM Benin City. First, the headlines. Presidency regrets federal government's absence from South Stakeholders Summit. Appeal Court orders Ondo Assembly to reinstate suspended lawmakers. Edo Police arrests 18 jailbreakers and others. Out of business, states borrow 900 billion naira from capital markets.
And in sports minister Solidarity says Donald Trump will start following poor performance.
Details of these and more after this break. I am Charles Oporum. In detail. The presidency says it regretted the absence of its representatives from a meeting of South stakeholders fixed for Tuesday in Port Harcourt, Rivers State. While attributing the development to an emergency meeting of the National Security Council held at the Presidential Villa, Abuja on the same day, it said a new date for the meeting would be fixed after due consultations. The senior special assistant to the president on media and publicity, Garba Shehu, disclosed this in a statement on Wednesday. Governors and leaders of the South region had demanded an unreserved apology from the presidency for abruptly aborting the meeting. The Federal Executive Council has approved the 2020 Finance Bill. The decision was taken at a meeting of the Council presided over by President Muhammadu Buhari on Wednesday. The Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, who briefed State House correspondents of the meeting, said the 2020 Finance Bill was meant to support the 2021 fiscal year budget. The minister gave an assurance that the bill will not lead to an increase in tax because the situation in the country does not warrant an increase in taxes. National Assembly members from Ebonyi State on Wednesday disowned the state governor, David Umahi, who has defected from the People's Democratic Party to the All Progressives Congress. The leader of the Ebonyi State PDP caucus in the National Parliament, Senator Sam Egu, who read the position of his colleagues at a press conference in Abuja, said none of the lawmakers would defect with Umahi. They described as unacceptable and selfish the reasons given by Umahi for his action. A court of appeal sitting in Akure, the Ondo State capital, on Wednesday struck out the motion for stay of execution filed by the leadership of the State House of Assembly after the lower court had ordered for the reinstatement of the 3 suspended lawmakers of the House. The 3 members of the Assembly, who include the Deputy Speaker, Iruju Ogundeji, Favor Tomomewo, and Wale Williams, were suspended by the leadership of the House for alleged gross misconduct. They were also among the 9 lawmakers who opposed the impeachment notice of the embattled Deputy Governor of the state, Abola Ajayi, some months ago. In protest, the embattled lawmakers approached the state High Court to challenge the action of the Assembly against them. The court in its judgment ruled that the suspension was illegal and asked the Assembly to reinstate them and pay them all their entitlements. The House, however, appealed the judgment of the lower court and filed a motion for stay of execution at the appellate court. In the judgment of the appellate court, Justice Omole Olabisi described the appellant's prayer as frivolous and ordered that the Assembly should immediately allowed the suspended House members to resume their legislative functions without any hindrance. The Federal High Court in Abuja has ordered the arrest of the former chairman of the defunct Pension Reformed Task Team, Abdul Rashid Maina, adjudged to have jumped bail regarding his trial involving 2 billion naira money laundering charges. Justice Okunabang made the order during Wednesday's ruling, in which he also revoked the bail earlier granted the fleeing defendant. He ordered all security agencies in the country to arrest Maina wherever he may be found and produce him in court without delay. The judge also ordered that the defendant's trial would proceed in his absence, pending when the defendant will be produced in court. He made the orders following the applications by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission's prosecuting counsel, Mohammed Abubakar. Justice Abang fixed November 23rd for Maina's surety, Senator Ali Ndume, to appear in court to show why he should not be remanded in prison and forfeit his 500 million naira bail bond, pending when he will be able to produce the defendant. Also, the National Association of Nigerian Students, NANS, has faulted plans by the federal government to borrow $750 million from the World Bank. The association also expressed displeasure with the continued strike by the Academic Staff Union of Universities. This was contained in a statement jointly signed by the chairman of NANS, Zone D, and his public relations officer, Kazim Israel. The Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, had announced on Friday that the federal government is in the process of accessing a $750 million World Bank loan for states. She said the facility would boost the local economy in the various states, adding that the federal government was also considering the costs and consequences of civil unrest and COVID-19 across the country. And over now to Edo State, where the police in Edo State on Wednesday paraded 18 persons who escaped from the 2 correctional centers in Benin City, 14 suspected armed robbers and 16 suspected cultists who have been part of the killings across Benin City. Addressing journalists at the State Command of the Police Headquarters, Commissioner of Police Johnson Kokumo said most of the escapee prisoners were rearrested while committing other crimes, while 2 were rearrested in Ondo State and another in Lagos State. He said some of the suspected robbers were among the robbery gangs that have been terrorizing residents in Benin City. CP Kokumo said despite the outcome of the NSAS protest that led to the destruction and robbery across the city center and environs, the police are not folding their arms and watching the hoodlums have a field day. The commissioner noted that the police and other security agencies in conjunction with the state government has put machineries in place to checkmate the activities of these rampaging hoodlums, which have yielded some positive results. He said among the suspects were those who went to destroy the Upper Market police station and carted away its arms and ammunition. Kokumo, however, assured the residents not to panic, as police will ensure safety of everyone throughout the Yuletide and beyond. The critically acclaimed and highly anticipated 3rd edition of the prestigious Best of Edo Awards 2020 is billed for Sunday, 29th November 2020. It promises all the pomp, pageantry, and royalty as the best of Edo will be showcased. The Best of Edo Awards is a celebration of distinguished Edo sons and daughters who have excelled in various aspects of human endeavor. Workfront African Network, organizers of the prestigious event, have rolled out 17 highly esteemed personalities, amongst whom are Bishop Fabi Dahosa, Comrade Sonny Nsayende, Kazim Bello Usage, Mrs. Esosa Sylvia Edo, Usasu Igbinedion, Andy Bello, and others. Speaking at a press briefing in Benin City, Mr. Paul Foni, CEO Workfront African Network and convener of the Best of Edo Awards event, expressed satisfaction at the level of preparations so far, stating that this year's edition will leave a long-lasting impression. He used this medium to call on all Edo sons and daughters all over and corporate organizations to support the brand and its objectives. The event is expected to begin at 1:30 p.m. with a red carpet to be followed by presentation of awards to recipients at the Michigan Hotel, Ihama Road, GRA, Benin City. Coming up in a moment after this break, 66 convicted soldiers sued the federal government for 1.3 billion naira over illegal detention. Stay with us, please.
Split seconds. There's a lot happening around us, but we can't be everywhere all the time. We've got work activities and chores to cater to, and most importantly, time to rest. And that's why having reliable partner like KUFM News is important. Sleeping? We don't. We work round the clock, bringing you stories as they break. From Nigeria and across the world, we would stop at nothing to keep you informed, because KUFM News is all about you and stories that affect you. Politics, business, human interests, sports, entertainment, just name it. We've got you covered. KUFM News. Timely, precise, spot on.
Welcome back. 66 soldiers who were convicted at different times for various offenses have sued the Attorney General of the Federation, the Minister of Justice, and the Controller General, Nigeria Correctional Service, demanding 20 million naira each. The separate fundamental human rights cases were filed before a federal high court in Lagos by Fumi Falana. According to the applicants, they qualify for amnesty based on a directive by President Muhammadu Buhari that certain categories of people, including those who have spent 75% of their sentence after remission. The convicts therefore prayed the court to declare that their continued detention in Kirikiri Maximum Correctional Center, Lagos, despite the amnesty granted them by the president, is illegal and unconstitutional, as it violates their rights to personal liberty guaranteed by Section 35 of the Constitution. The applicants also seek an order directing the respondents to release them from the prison immediately in compliance with the April 9, 2020 amnesty granted by the President on 9th April 2020 pursuant to the prerogative of mercy under Section 175 of the Constitution. The Military Pensions Board on Wednesday said it will soon commence the electronic verification of military pensioners to ascertain those that have died since the last verification was conducted 3 years ago. The chairman of the board, Commodore Saburi Lawal, explained that under the proposed electronic verification, pensioners will not go through the ordeal of traveling from their respective locations to participate in the exercise, but will only visit any of the 11 designated banks, which will be announced later with their BVN, and they'll be screened. He said the board is awaiting further directives from the Ministry of Defense and the Defense Headquarters before announcing the takeoff date for the verification exercise. The Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, has appealed to the federal government to end the ongoing strike action by honoring the agreements both parties reached. The Benin Zonal Coordinator of ASU, Professor Fred Isume, made the appeal in a statement issued in Benin City yesterday. The union also urged the government to keep faith with its slogan that education is the bedrock of development and nation building, calling on it to make education, particularly at the tertiary level, accessible to the poor. Professor Isume particularly asked the Minister of Labour and Employment, Dr. Chris Ngige, to stop the threat of legal action against the union and stick to its mandates. He expressed doubt over the capability and commitment of the minister to midwife any peaceful and early resolution of the issues that led to the ongoing strike in the country's public universities. The Benin zone of the union hinged its doubt on Dr. Ngige's obvious propagandist and divide-and-rule approach in the handling of the ongoing strike, which the union said may probably not midwife an earnest resolution of the crisis in the country's public universities. Professor Isume said that by the provisions of the law, Dr. Chris Ngige, as the Honorable Minister of Labour and Employment, is saddled with a conciliatory role during industrial disharmony to calm an already tense situation and bring about a peaceful resolution. But he has chosen to be the mouthpiece of other unions that were not part of the 2019 MOA. The union, however, accused the government of introducing IPIS to divert the public attention to the lack of sincerity and will to faithfully implement agreements reached with ASU, insisting on the union's rejection of IPIS, given its violation of the University Autonomy Act and its inadequacies to cater for the peculiarities in the university system. The union urged the Honorable Minister of Labour and Employment to calm nerves of members of ASU and facilitate the payment of salaries of members instead of playing to the gallery and violating the law. Coming up in the moment on our business news, states borrow 900 billion naira from the capital market. More details after this break.
1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, 600 billion, and the last kobo. Oh yes, we follow the money. It's all about the business and the business of business. The gains and the losses. The bulls and bears. The rise and falls. The risk and the satisfaction of seeing the last kobo rise to millions. On KUFM's Business News, the simple and complex jargons of business just make sense. Get the trending news on the morning market, forecast, investment opportunities, policy changes, and other breakout information on the ever-busy world of business. KU Business News, Monday to Friday on our news dawn, 6:30 to 7 a.m.
Welcome back. You're tuning the news down on 92.7 KUFM Benin City and over now to business, where the Securities and Exchange Commission (SEC) has disclosed that state governments in Nigeria have borrowed not less than 900 billion naira from the capital market since 1978. The Director General of the Commission, Lamido Yuguda, disclosed this at a webinar organized by the Nigerian Stock Exchange on ways subnationals can raise funds through the sale of state-owned enterprises. The SEC board was represented by the Executive Commissioner in charge of Legal and Enforcement, Reginald Karawusa, disclosed that this amount was raised from the market through debt issuances since 1978. Speaking on privatization in Nigeria and the outlook for subnational economic development, the theme of an event organized in partnership with the Nigeria Governors Forum and the Nigerian Investment Promotion Council, he said a significant part of these funds were deployed in financing capital projects. Elsewhere, the Nigerian Stock Exchange on Wednesday recorded the first gain in the week, halting the negative trend following positive sentiments in Dangote Cement and Lafarge Africa. Consequently, the oil share index increased by 575.18 points, or 1.68%, to close at 34,818.01, compared with 34,242.83 posted on Tuesday. Month-to-date and year-to-date gains increased to 14.0% and 29.7% respectively. Similarly, investors gained 301 billion naira as the market's capitalization closed higher at 18.193 trillion naira from 17.892 trillion naira on Tuesday, an increase of 1.68%. The uptrend was impacted by gains recorded in large and medium capitalized stocks, amongst which are Dangote Cement, Nigerian Breweries, Lafarge Africa, Dangote Sugar Refinery, and Zenith Bank. Still in business, the National Bureau of Statistics (NBS) says average price per litre paid by consumers for national household kerosene increased by 1.42% month-on-month and by 8.69% year-on-year to 352 naira 93 kobo in October 2020 from 347 naira 98 kobo in September 2020. States with the highest average price per litre of kerosene were Taraba at 437 naira 50 kobo, Ebonyi 423 naira 81 kobo, and Benue 410 naira. The Bureau disclosed this in its National Household Kerosene Watch of October 2020. Meanwhile, it said states with the lowest average price per litre of kerosene were Bayelsa 230 naira 95 kobo, Rivers 285 naira 19 kobo, and Oyo 310 naira. According to the report, average price per gallon paid by consumers for national household kerosene increased by 0.27% month-on-month and by 1.91% year-on-year to 1,233 naira in October 2020 from 1,229 naira 66 kobo in September 2020. The agency said states with the highest average price per gallon of kerosene were Katsina 1,369 naira 23 kobo, Jigawa 1,360 naira 71 kobo, and Enugu 1,359 naira 44 kobo. In the period under review, the report of the agency said states with the lowest average price per gallon of kerosene were Delta at 978 naira 71 kobo, Osun 1,005 naira 1,500 naira and 42 kobo, and over 1,078 naira 75 kobo. And finally, on business, the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, on Wednesday said that the implementation of the cashless policy aimed at promoting financial inclusion had increased the risks associated with electronic banking in the country. CBN's Director, Banking Supervision Department, Hassan Bello, was speaking on the sidelines of an event in Lagos State. Bello said the cashless policy issued to drive the development and modernization of the payment system, reduce the cost of banking services, and promote financial inclusion, amongst others, which had increased the risks associated with electronic banking. And that's it on business. Over now to sports, where Sports Minister Sunday Dare says Janet Raw could be sacked over poor performance. Eusa Wika has more in our sports bulletin this morning.
Solidaris Genotron could be relieved of his position as Super Eagles technical advisor. The Eagles could only record 2 points out of possible 6 in the doubleheader against the Leon Stars of Sierra Leone in the 2021 AFCON qualifiers. On March 3, the three-time African champions surrendered the 4-goal lead to draw 4-4 against the Leon Stars in Benin City on Friday, and in Tuesday's return leg in Freetown, both teams settled for a goalless draw. Reacting to the results, Larry questioned Ross' competence while stating something will be done about his position as Eagles coach. The 2019 bronze medalist will be in action again in March 2021 when they will be guests to the Republic in continuation of the qualifiers. They will round up the qualifiers with a home tie against Lesotho. And now to Europe, where Inter Milan striker Romelu Lukaku scored twice as Belgium secured their place at the UEFA Nations League finals with a 4-2 victory over Denmark last night. The former Manchester United and Chelsea forward has now scored 17 goals in 14 matches for the Red Devils. Leicester City with the Telemans opened the scoring after just 3 minutes with a great finish. Jonas Wayne headed in and equalizer when Lukaku turned in Kevin De Bruyne's pass before heading home in 10. Ignasa Chadley home goal reduced the deficit, but De Bruyne swept in front for Belgium with 3 minutes remaining. The victory means Roberto Martinez side who beat England 2-0 on Sunday to end the 3 Lions' hopes of reaching the finals, finished top of Group A2. They joined France, Spain, Italy in the finals, which took place in October 2021. Netherlands beat Poland 2-1, while Italy defeated Bosnia and Herzegovina 2-0. England trashed Iceland 4-0, while Hungary defeated Turkey 2-0. And finally now to tennis, where world number 1 Novak Djokovic was beaten for only the 4th time this year as Daniil Medvedev reached the semi-finals of the ATP finals in London. This said he took on first errors and 5 difficulties in a 6-3 defeat to 4th seed Medvedev. Djokovic can still qualify for the semi-finals if he wins his final round-robin match against Alexander Zverev on Friday after the German earlier boosted his own hopes with victory over David Schwartzman. Zverev overcame a poor second set to claim a 6-3, 4-6, 6-3 win over the Argentine, who is now unable to reach the knockout stage after Medvedev's win at the O2 Arena. With the 2 group winners already decided after Dominic Thiem clinched Group London 2020 with victory over Nadal on Tuesday, there are 2 winner-takes-all matches to determine the remaining semi-finalists. Before Djokovic and Zverev meet on Friday, 20-time Grand Slam champion Rafael Nadal and defending champion Stefanos Tsitsipas face each other on Thursday, while US Open champion Dominic Thiem takes on already eliminated Russian Andrei Rublev. And that's sports news on KFM Sports News. My name is Abusa. And back to you, Charles.
Thank you very much, Agusa, for those sports stories. And of course, with those stories, we're coming to the end of our package this morning. But before we leave, a quick recap of the headlines. Presidency regrets federal government's absence from South Stakeholders Summit. Appeal Court orders Ondo Assembly to reinstate suspended lawmakers. Edo Police arrest 18 jailbreakers and others. Do remember that the continued unity of Nigeria is a collective responsibility. Be sure to play your part. Do not forget, you can listen to us from anywhere in the world by visiting our website at www.kufm.net or you can download our mobile app from the Google Play Store. We're also live on YouTube at KUFM Nigeria, and you can also listen to us on RadioGarden.com. KUFM News Dawn was produced by Nosahai Wadiai. I am Charles Upper Room saying thanks for listening and